So this is the Solid Sun's third studio album. Did you have any idea or intention to achieve something musically, maybe a sound that we haven't heard from the band previously?
I think that I was pushing to create an album that was darker, that was harder. We're a rock band at our core, but I wanted to still stay true to what we are in terms of blues and funk and stuff like that. I just wanted to do it all harder, all heavier. Heavier is the best word. Like, I tuned down to a different tuning for this album, so everything is written a step down from standard. So just by default, it's heavier, it's harder. And then the themes lyrically, just heavier stuff, darker stuff. So yeah, it's all in the same vein. It still sounds like us, but it's a lot harder.
I think that after 4 years now that we've been together, I think this is honestly like the first record that, to me, really sounds like what the Solid Suns are supposed to sound like.
We've all progressed as musicians entirely, so it doesn't sound like the first two albums at all. It's just what we have become now.
First album, Bobby Pins and Needles, was the album that I felt like I had to make, and Lacunas was the album that I wanted to make, then this is the album that I wanted to listen to.
How has the recording process been this time around? Is it any easier or harder being your third time?
I felt way more comfortable this time. I mean, I knew what to expect. We've worked with Vinny so many times now that it's very comfortable working with him. I thought it was way easier. It felt right. It just felt like it was happening the way it should be. I don't know, how do you guys like it?
For me, studio's always stressful for me, but it went kind of smooth.
Recording a real studio album is probably the most stressful thing that I've ever done in my life. When you don't have infinite funds and you're thinking about money and every minute
Second.
is $1. Like, it's crazy. Like, these things weigh heavy on you when you're trying to be creative, so it's like counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve. With that said, that's why we didn't record an album last year. We did 2 albums in 2 years, and then we skipped a year because we needed that break, and because of that, because we gave ourselves that time to write and hang out, play shows, and become a better band, I think that it really shows on this album. Like, we were ready to make this album, and we were ready to lay down these songs, and it was by far the easiest and the most fun that we've had in the studio, but it's still really stressful, and it's still a lot of hard work, but this was definitely the best experience we've had so far.
It was definitely worth it, for sure.
When you guys are on stage, you have such great presence and everybody can feel the energy of the band. Would you say that you have that same kind of energy in the recording studio?
That's the goal. Like, you want it to still maintain the energy and the feel of the songs. We consider ourselves a live band. We pride ourselves on the sound that we can make live with just 3 people. But in the studio, it's a challenge to hold on to that energy and capture the feeling and the emotion of a song. I think that out of the 3 albums that we've made, this is by far the closest to capturing what we do live and what we sound like in that energy and the presence of each of these songs. The dynamics are there, the range of emotions and sound, and this album is really a journey from start to finish, and I think that our sets when we play live kind of work the same way.
Now, John's mantra has always been innovation through limitation, and even in the studio, I think that rings true because we have the constraints of not having unlimited funds and unlimited time to do stuff, you know, it forces us to be creative quickly and just intuitively. Where if we had unlimited time to do stuff, who knows, you know, if we had 3 days to screw around with that keyboard over there or whatever, would still end up being the same. So I think our innovation through limitation is us being a three-piece and all that, but in the studio, there's still constraints there that force us to be creative, I think.
So you've been a band for 4 years now. Can you explain how you've evolved over that time, both as a band and individually?
I still hate you guys.
Yeah, I think we've come to a place that I think when John comes to us with a song, it's easy for us to get into the headspace that he's in to figure out what it is that he's looking for, you know, and what inspiration that's driving him. Where when we started, it was a lot of work to get there. And I just think through the years now, you know, we've played so many shows and we've spent so much time together playing that's become really intuitive. You know, we're kind of. It used to be when we first started, we would get together and play, and it probably took us 2 or 3 hours of playing to get to the place that we were like really creative and really gelling. Where now it's like we walk into the room and it's like we're at that space already. And I think that's one of the main things. It's just that we don't have to work as hard to get the same result.
After working together with a group of people, any group of people, for a certain amount of time, you can become more efficient at it. But with a band, we just know how each other work. We can play to each other's strengths and write to each other's strengths. And when we practice, you know, I can just say, I want it to sound like this. And then these two guys can make that happen. I just have the skeleton here, and I need you guys to fill it all in. You guys are the missing pieces. You know, because otherwise it's just me left to my own devices, and it's not a song yet.
It seems pretty cliche to ask a writer what he's saying, but is there anything specific that you wanted to communicate with this album as a whole?
Yeah. Every album has to have a theme, some congruent idea that ties the songs together. And with this one, I think that it's a lot of struggle, it's a lot of resistance. It's like that uncomfortability of just life and figuring things out, and for better or worse, acceptance. Like, it's tension and then release. It's the struggle of life and love and then acceptance of what you can control and what you can't. So I try to stay away from just that pure angst and more of struggle, because angst just kind of comes naturally to me, but I wanted it to be more sophisticated. I wanted to show growth, not just musically, but as a lyricist, as an artist. I wanted to take the album into places that maybe haven't explored yet.
Brian, you all come from such different backgrounds as musicians. At one point, you were running sound for a local venue. The next minute, you're joining forces with one of the regular acts. And now, countless shows and TV appearances later, here you are with yet another amazing studio album completed. How the fuck does that feel, man? I mean, what does this whole experience mean to you?
I love it. I mean, first off, music is my passion. It's about the only thing I'm good at that feels right when I do it. I never thought we'd come this far, honestly, and there was points when I didn't make it as far, might not have made it as far as these guys did. It's a blessing to be here and what we're doing today. I mean, I don't know, it's probably the best feeling in the world. It's nothing better I can think of than being on stage, these guys, pulling the tribones before a show and just rocking out. I mean, couldn't think of any other place I'd like to be.
Jim, you have a lovely wife and kids. You're such a family man. Do any of those family values have a reflection on your relationship with the Solid Sons? Would you say the band is like an extension of your family?
Absolutely. John and Brian are definitely my brothers, and I think that's where, honestly, where we've been really successful is that it is like a family, and that, you know, there's love, there's respect, and just in the way that we treat each other. We treat each other like family, and I think that that's a really fertile place to make music from. You know, we're not just three individuals. Everything that we do do it as a unit, as a family, together. Every decision that we make, you know, whether it's writing songs or whether we're going to play a show or whatever we're going to do, we do it together. And it's not three individuals, and I think that's really one of our keys. And I think that when people say that we have good energy on stage, I think that's what they're seeing.
I don't think we would have made it if we weren't friends and we weren't brothers and we didn't care about each other. We would have already failed several times. Like, it's being friends with each other and getting along and being able to see past each other's differences and faults and having those bad days and having confrontations and struggles and getting past them, because at the end of the day, you're more than just bandmates and you're more than just friends, that you care about each other. And that's the only reason I think that we've been able to do it for as long as we have, is because even if the band broke up right now in this room, we'd still be friends.
Now, in saying that you guys are brothers, I mean, every family has their differences. So when you sat down to write this album, were there any conflicts of interest or varying opinions about what you wanted to put out there as a band?
It's always a delicate balance. Jim and Brian, I think, respect me enough to let me say what it is that I want to say with my music. I think that if there's any themes or anything like that that may be unsettling or uncomfortable or not politically correct or anything like that, I think that they trust me and respect me enough to let me do that.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, in order for it to work, because there's three of us, somebody's got to have that extra percent, you know, to when it comes to the vote. Somebody's got to have that extra half a vote or whatever it is. And in our group, it's John, you know, I mean, and so at the end of the day, you know, in order for us to be successful and to move ahead and not just go around and around in circles and butt heads, there's always that, we'll talk about things, but then there's that point where we kind of just go, okay, you know, you get the final say.
And it's really never even been a problem.
No, it's not. It's really natural, actually.
I mean, I wouldn't say we'll blindly follow John and do whatever he says or whatever he's trying to put out to the world, because he really does respect our opinion and what we have to say about it, and whether it be an idea or something as little as a note in a song to the entire theme of an album. It's John's the boss, but he does care about what we think and wants to make sure that we like it too. I mean, we love playing with John and we love just being a band together, you know, being the brothers that we are. He's never brought anything to us that we didn't like anyway. I mean, really. Maybe a couple things.
John, you described Ungodly Hour as a nod to the creative process in your Indiegogo campaign, and the campaign was a huge success. Would you say that you owe a lot of this album and what the band has achieved to your fans who've supported you through it all?
Absolutely.
Oh, big time.
You know, from the financial help to just the fact that so many people believe in us, encouraging us and pushing us on, you know, just in every way.
This album literally doesn't exist without the huge contributions that we got from the people that believe in us and support us. And we've had to invest a lot of our own money, and we've had to invest a lot in this album ourselves, but just as much came from just other people that support what we do. And moving to have people in our lives that support us like that. So it's that this album is for them. I mean, like, the only reason you record and perform, is for other people. You can write for yourself. I mean, writing is a selfish process, but making music and playing music is for other people, and we couldn't do it without them.
So why do you keep doing what you do? Why keep going? I mean, what exactly is the end result that you're hoping for?
Why would I stop? Or would we stop? I don't know. It feels too good to play music and write with these guys.
Yeah, you have to love it. Because unless you're in a cover band or you are, already famous or established, or you're the next big pop star, there's no money in it. So you have to love it. And we just love it. We love playing music, and we love playing live shows, and the only reason to do it is because it's what we love to do. For me, it's my purpose. And I mean, we have day jobs, we have paychecks and bills and rent, and we got responsibilities with our lives, but at the end of the day, that's not what defines us as people. I think that creating something out of nothing and writing music and making albums and playing shows is our purpose in life.
All right, I can't wait any longer. When does the album arrive?
Ungodly Hour arrives on October 23rd, 2015. It'll probably be online, and we'll have physical copies too, but October 23rd.